Hi coaches, Ron Silico here. What I want to talk today about in this video presentation is pressing defensively in basketball. And I think it's something that most coaches want to do because of the harassing nature, making your defense be active and aggressive rather than perhaps passive and waiting for the offense to attack. But I wanted to give these thoughts for consideration because I think regardless of the pressing style that you use, I think there are things that are important to consider. First is, why do you want to do it? What is your rationale for pressing? Are you an athletic team? Are you trying to create energy within your team? Create energy with the crowd? Do you want to control tempo? And I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. And do you want to force turnovers in an attempt to try and get easy baskets? I think something you also want to consider in the why portion of why you want to press is, are you willing to potentially give up some easy shots if you're being very aggressive going for steals? Because that sometimes is a side effect of aggressive defense that gambles, and are you willing to accept that? So all things to think about why you want to press. I think pressing is a great way to control tempo defensively. And I'm not talking about just speeding another team up. I'm also talking about potentially slowing another team down if that's why you want to press. And I think one of the really good ways you can control tempo is think about, do you want the other team to break the press with dribble, which maybe you're going to man-to-man press more, or do you want them to try and break your press by passing, which maybe is going to lead to more of a zone press? I think two important considerations for controlling tempo is, number one, in your press, are you going to allow passes to go backwards, or do you want the ball going forward? I think if you want faster tempo, you're going to try and deny those passes backwards to try and get the ball moving forward and getting teams to perhaps rush down the floor, take quick shots, take poor shots, and get steals down the floor. I think if you want a pressing situation where you're always trying to get 4 or 5 players ahead of the basketball, that's when you're looking to slow down tempo when you're pressing. But I think it's important. A lot of people think, well, I'm going to press to speed up tempo, and that's not necessarily the case. Are you going to let the ball go in bounds? Are you going to be an all-out denial when the ball's out of bounds, or are you going to let it come in, then perhaps trap it, or perhaps force the ball handler to dribble and then jump it, if you will? How you're going to trap, where you're going to trap, when you're going to trap, I think those are all things that are important. Some teams like to pick up man-to-man, but they stay man-to-man. They never trap out of it. Sometimes people run and jump out of it, and sometimes people try and trap on the sidelines. So all things to think about. Are you going to trap? How are you going to do it? Where are you looking to do it? And if the ball gets thrown to the middle or over your head, are you continuing to trap? Some teams try and continue to trap if the ball's continuing to progress up the sidelines, or are you a one-and-done trap? The ball gets completed out, defense doesn't get a turnover, then you match up and either get back into a zone or a man-to-man setup. And I already talked about the last thing on this point is, do you want the team to try and break your press by dribbling or passing? Again, man-to-man, a lot of times teams will try and clear out and then have their best ball handler dribble the ball up the floor. Even with run and jump situations, there is a lot of dribbling that could potentially happen in that situation. So things to think about. But I think the most important thing that I wanted to stress, and I hope is a takeaway from this presentation, if you haven't thought about it already, is really look at it from both aspects of controlling tempo, whether you want to speed teams up or slow teams down. And to that last point that I was speaking about, another thing to consider is the team you're playing not a good dribbling team or not a good passing team? And do you want to play? Do you want to press? Do you want to try and make them do something that they're not as good at? So just thoughts for consideration. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great day.